We have over here Peggy. Peggy is a teacher of these students that come in today with us. And what make you bring your students to the borderline?
Okay, I became interested. I'm interested in finding out more about Amnesty International and Humane Borders. So for that reason I decided to join Jody, who is actually the main teacher for this group of students. And so I am a chaperone with her on this trip to bring students down here so that they have exposure to see some of the issues that, the concerns of the migrants.
Is your first time coming over to this camp?
To this camp, yes.
Yes?
Yes, it is.
How do you hear of it? By Jody?
Jody, yeah. Jody knows more about it than I do.
Do you ever teach your students about these issues before? On your classes?
A little bit. We've touched on it. I'd like to know more about it so I can be more informed to teach them. I showed the movie A Day Without Mexicans to my students and tried to get them to talk about what they saw in the film. How would they feel? How do they feel the United States would be if for some reason one day all of the immigrants disappeared and we didn't have them? How would that affect our country? So in that way I've tried to talk about these issues in my class, but other than that I haven't done that much. I need to find out more.
And what do you think is the impact on your students when they come and see these issues, these problems on the borderline?
I think it opens their mind to begin to think about it, and maybe that's enough for right now. The fact that when they hear about an issue, an immigrant issue in the States, or they hear that there might be a movie shown, they might, because they've come and seen a little bit, they're more open to want to know more about the concerns that are going on.
How do your students get signed to make this trip?
Okay, you're going to have to talk to Jody more about that because these are more her students than my students.
Oh, really?
Okay, yeah. Okay. So you really should talk to her about it.
Do you think these trips will make a difference in their life on the future?
I hope so. And I think for some of them, yeah. When they hear or read in the paper about a possible death in the desert, they'll have a face to put on that person because they have visited here and seen different Mexicans that have attempted to cross. So it'll be a tie for them to an actual person as opposed to something that is abstract. So in that way, I hope it does and have an effect.
Peggy, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, you're quite
Anything
welcome.
else would you like to add? Any invitation you want to do to anybody, to whoever see this documentary on Mexico, United States, or South America?
I think that the immigration, there are an amazing amount of immigrants, and I don't remember exactly what the statistic is. Millions of illegal immigrants in the United States. I think it's an issue that we have to deal with very soon. Lots of families have been divided and separated. I personally feel that the immigrants that come to the States contribute a lot to our economy, and that we need to recognize them. And I would like to see some kind of program that makes it possible for them to stay as guest workers in the United States.
Would you like to invite some other kids or more kids to volunteer on this kind of programs?
Of course. Yes, I would.
Peggy, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
A minute ago there was a gentleman here that was trying to get across, and he lived in the States for 11 years. He's got family there, he speaks fluent English. So far he's tried 3 times to get over and he hasn't been able to get over. it's not like he's going. That particular person is not going to go because he wants to start a new life, or he already has a life there. He's just trying to get back to it. And so there's many different needs of the people. It seems like the different circumstances and situations that each one of these individuals go through and why they're here. One thing I've been very interested in noticing is I first pulled up here, walked in. At first it seemed kind of benign around here. I really didn't, I just thought, okay, here's a camp here. This is where, you know, the people are going to come to get food, they'll get aid. And then I started paying attention to what's going on around me here, and I noticed that there's many different levels of interactions of people going on here. You have the police from Nogales and from Sonora that are here, and then I started noticing certain people that I believe that are part of the smugglers, the coyotes, and they're watching. You know, they seem to be in their cat and mouse game with the Border Patrol, watching them. And then I looked across the valley, or across the river here, and noticed that the massive command post and everything of the border guard, of the U.S. border guard. So it's there's a lot happening here that when I first walked up that I really didn't notice, but as you pay attention to what's going on, there is a lot going on right now. And so that's kind of some of my thoughts that I'm having right now. And coming down, I came down with a group from South Point High, and you know, it seems like the kids there all have different motives for come. Some are coming because it's part of a class and they're required, and they're just doing it to kind of get a requirement done, and maybe that'll have some impact. And then it seems like some of the other students here are very serious about human rights and being part of the sanctuary movement. So it's interesting to see that also. The immigration thing has been going on for as long as, you know, the human race has been going on. And in fact, I was actually having a conversation with a friend the other day, and we were talking about his parents and his grandparents that came over from Europe. And we were talking about how much this type of immigration, how it really is very detrimental to the family structure of the immigrants, and how many people have to like split their families to do this thing with the hope that one day that they would meet their family back up. And that's that was going on when the Irish came over, the potato famine. These families are split. The solution to it, obviously, you know, being the lay person that I am, you know, there are governments that are working on this thing, and it's obviously they can't figure it out. I do believe that a big part of any solution, though, is that either side has to take a look at how they're interacting and what their values are. I think that as time goes on, unfortunately, it seems like part of the human condition is that before anything changes, there has to be a lot of strife and hardship, and maybe we're getting to that point now to where there will be the tipping point to where there has to be something done to change. But the only way I see this thing changing significantly would be a political change on both sides of the border. But there's so much more involved, it seems. There's so much more involved in the whole thing than just people wanting to get across the border to a new life, or at least to make income. Because then you talk about the commerce and legal and illegal commerce that's happening, and this border thing is so complex that I wouldn't even begin to see how it could end at this point. My personal opinion in NAFTA, it's been a nightmare, and especially, you know, just even following it just in the news lately about the price of corn in Mexico. The average Mexican is having a hard time affording to get corn tortillas, one of their staples, because the price of corn is going up so quickly due to trade. A big